Hello, Scott Stanfield here. A little technical difficulty. My overlay's on. There we go. Welcome to the show. My name is Scott Stanfield again, and this is the Modern Longevitarian. Today we're going to be working on core exercises, and I'm going to break this all down for you in a second. But first of all, I want to say welcome to everybody listening on the Spirituality Gone Wild Network and also watching in on LinkedIn. I don't know how many live workout shows there are on LinkedIn, but we're going to do one today. We did a stretching one, stretching shows, 7-minute hip stretch man yoga. I believe we did that last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. And so if you're looking for a way to stretch your hips and really do that in a very short and efficient amount of time, and it's important, right? It's really important because when I worked for all those years as a restaurant manager, I had to like condense these things down into a very short period of time. How can I do this in 20 minutes or 7 minutes for stretching, and really just boil it down to the brass tacks and really do that. So with that, so welcome everybody. And this week we're going to have coming out, I know today's Wednesday, but this week we're going to have the Book of Secrets from the Spirituality Gone Wild Network coming out for release. And then you'll be able to get your copy for free download. My secret, and basically what this is basically a secret from every one of the co-creators. There's going to be about 20 different co-creators that are going to be contributing to this book, to their one secret of life. So imagine people just like me in all realms of life that have a show like this, and they are, some of them are mediums, some are they're readers, and some are people like my friend Steve Weber at American Gumption Morning Show, that we all put our secrets into this book, and you can get it for free later this week. And my secret is find yourself and do you. And it basically is summed up by a quote by Mark Twain that says, basically it says this, right? It says the two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. And so basically your goal in life is to find you and do you. Like for instance, Modern Longevitarian. I bought this domain name 9 years ago this month, and it sat dormant. I just paid for it for all those years. And so you can imagine I paid, kept it and paid for it and renewed it and all those things. And then finally, when COVID hit, I did a pivot, and then here we are doing the Modern Longevitarian. So all these things I was doing in addition to managing restaurants and hospitals and oil refineries and and working in hotels as director of restaurants, director of food and beverage, general managers of restaurants, and figuring out how to live my best life, being inspired by my parents, both getting cancer at age 55. I am now bringing this to the world. So let's talk about tomorrow's show. I'm super excited about tomorrow's show. This week, the next 7 shows are going to be pretty off the charts. I've got some super cool guests coming on. And so I'll even tease a couple shows for next week. But tomorrow is Eddie Lucerian. Eddie's written 2 books. He sent me copies of both of these. And one of them is When Bosses Go Wild, no pun intended with Spirituality Gone Wild, but when Bosses Go Wild, Preventing Employees Morale Knockouts. So that's a super cool book for especially people if you're watching professional on LinkedIn. And then this one here is 64 Life Hacks for Success. And it's got love, education, courage, family, health, money, faith, and time. And super cool 64 Life Hacks for Success. Friday show, Dr. Linda Ellison. Dr. Linda, she's originally from Utah. She Harvard grad, worked for the United Nations for 7.5 years in West Africa. She has a super amazing supplement that I've been taking. It's called KAU, and it's immunity build, medical grade 19 amino acids, trigger the rapid production of immune system cells to build robust immunity. It's a wellness supplement. And I'm telling you, I've been taking this for about 2 weeks, and I'm feeling pretty freaking jazzed. I've only missed one workout the entire year. I know today's 13 days in, but this is going to be the one for today. And I've worked legs every day this year, except that one day I missed that workout. And so that's my goal, is to have 350 leg workouts in the year 2021. So you got to think that's not a lot of days off, for sure. And so here's today. Let's talk about core for a second, then we'll break it down what we're going to get into. So focus of my workouts is about functionality, durability with a pinch of athleticism. Now, if you're an athlete, you need to be more athletic. You need to have a better cardio or things like that. Or you were gifted a V12 when I maybe got like just a 4-cylinder. That's good, right? But so my core exercises for a long time had really long breaks in them, had all these different things until I really strengthened my breathing and my lungs and all of those things, because I couldn't do a plank without I was out of breath and I was struggling to breathe. And so you have to learn how to do these things and balance those things out there. So if you need longer breaks, take your longer breaks. And so we can jot down what this workout is when we go through the demo portion of that. I'm going to have a body weight or beginner, if you can look at it that way. And you may have to modify that even on some level, intermediate, and then what I could call advanced, or what you need at the gym, or heavier weights and those type of things. So your core does a couple of things, right? It transfers power from your lower body because you get to push off the ground to your upper body. It also protects your spine from hyperextending, therefore not breaking your back, literally, not figuratively, and avoiding a severe mechanical injury. And I see a couple comments in there. I'll check on those before we get going here. So we're going to demo 3 levels, like I said before. Then we'll do 2 sets of these 6 moves. And we'll start off with a little dynamic stretch. We'll do that in a minute. I don't normally do a lot of stretching, but some of you may be sitting in the chair for a couple hours, especially if you're on the East Coast and you get up and get moving. So you can maybe do a little stretching right now, get warmed up if you're going to do this with me, and do that. So my core exercises, I call this hardcore. And I developed this a year and a half ago when I started putting these things together. And the picture there that I was at the gym in the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, is that picture of me there. And when I developed this, so there's really only 6 different things you got to worry about your core. There's a front, and there is a side, and you got 2 sides. Then you've got your back. And then I do what I call a burner or a really heavy one. And then there's also rotation. And so I just said those backwards, but rotation and then a heavy one. And sometimes I do 2 types of heavy one. If I have a medicine ball, like I'll drop a medicine ball onto like I'm getting punched. So these heavy ones really come from Bruce Lee, the dragon flag, and then dropping a medicine ball. I don't have a medicine ball here, so I'm not going to be doing that today. I can put a video of it later. I have video of me doing that. But there are bodyweight versions and progressions for all of these things. So it's basically a progression where you start with bodyweight. You can do this at home. You can do this in just 10 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. If you're not going to take breaks, you could do this longer. I like doing this for like 30 minutes because I think no pun intended, the core is the core of strength. The core, our power and our durability, our functionality is the foundation for our strength. And also, you got to think your core is basically connected to your hips as well. And so if you're stretching your hips with the man yoga 7-minute exercise, right, or stretching, you could do this workout. You could do 1 set of this or 2 sets of this and do that 7-minute stretch at the end. And be honest with you, it could be almost all that you need if you're just looking for a basic way of being durable, functional, and have a touch of athleticism. You can really work on that. Now, one of the reasons that I really worked on this over the years, I worked in hospitals and I got to see a lot of people. And if you got questions along the way about modifications or any of those type of things, or if you need to adjust the camera, tell me adjust the camera, the volume, or any of those things. Let's make sure people are hearing me right before I do this again here. So Sharon she put in a comment that she enjoyed the man yoga, and then she loves the Book of Secrets. So thanks, Sharon. Thank you very much. And so it's going to be some amazing stuff. We've got some really cool stuff in there. So you can, I worked at a hospital and I got to see a lot of people that were coming there that were out of shape. They were sick. There was a lot of old people there. I love hanging out with people who have a lot of wisdom. So I'm not saying anything negative about that. But, if you see somebody that's walking and they're doing like this, they're having to compensate for the fact that they're overweight and their core is not strong enough to hold it. So they're actually just swinging back and forth like that. Older people too have a tendency to shuffle their feet. They don't pick their feet up, so they shuffle a lot. right? If I do this, I don't know, back here, right? So they're shuffling their feet, like that. And so I'm saying a lot of ums, right? But so my point is that if you build a solid core, right, you can walk upright, and if you're stretched the right way, or your thoracic spine has been stretched out, like with my friend Jason's mobility bar, thoracic mobility bar, where you're more upright. You'll have better balance. You'll have more stability, and as we get older, especially like 80 and above, the chance of falling and death moves from the top 10 to the top 5, and then as you even get into 90 or above, it goes into the top 3, right? So this is super important. Balance, stability, core stability, strength is super important as we age, and so getting to the right weight. And this is not weight loss. Let's back this up. This is building strength and stuff is not weight loss. It can help with that because you're burning more calories and all those type of things, especially if you're working out fasted. I've had a cup of coffee this morning, and I've been testing Smart Java. Hudson sent me some coffee to test. We're going to have him on the show soon. And I didn't mention my shows for next week, but Dr. Anthony J., who's wrote a book on estrogen, is going to be on next week. And then Prash Ketcha is going to be on as well on Wednesday. So I'm super excited about next week's shows and next week. And the next 7 episodes are going to be off the charts. And but today, back to this, right? So weight loss is really, they're separate, right? Remember, I don't know if you remember this, but I'll show you a picture. This is me at age 31, and then me after I lost my 40 pounds. And so let's show you this picture, right? Some of you may have not seen this. You're new to the show, but I keep this saved up here. So this is me, and on the picture on the left is me at age 31. That's my niece. She's already been in the military, graduated high school, been in the military, out of the military. Got a call set up with her today that I'm holding there. 31 years old, just before I moved to the Caribbean. And then at my dad's 70th birthday, that's the same picture that I used on the cover of the 3 lessons that I learned with my dad. I was age 46 there. I'm 48 now. So that's a 17-year split in there. And so, yes, I've lost the weight. I've kept it off for 9 years, and it's super cool, right? And so, Sharon, you put up this, thanks for addressing this for older people, right? So this is, the thing is, if for a longevitarian or someone like me, a modern longevitarian, this is important, right? As we go forward, I think through these things about what am I going to be, how am I going to be 100% at age 100? So if you're not 100% at the age you're at now, so how can you get to that point? And so this is one of the ways that I do this, and I think about these things a lot. John Jensen, thanks for being on the show. Jason Teague, thanks for being here as well. So weight loss is not exercise; it's a piece of it. It can be. You can like if you're Michael Phelps or something, and you're doing 10,000 calories a day, and you're swimming all the time. Yes, that can be weight loss, and you're in the pool and all that type of stuff. But for a normal person, we don't really live and work that way. Weight loss is more of a diet piece of it. It's all hormones. Your hormone insulin. If your insulin spiked because of high glycemic foods that are sugars and carbohydrates, or your lack of sleep or stress, if you're spiking your insulin for those reasons, once you spike it, it takes 13 hours for that insulin response to go back down to where the mechanisms in your body receive a signal that says it's okay to burn fat. 13 hours it takes. So think about that. You have dinner, it's like pasta, pizza, or have a dessert at 8 o'clock at night, right? Or that late night, 9 o'clock ice cream in the morning, right? If you say 8 or 9 o'clock, 12 hours is going to be 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. If you have oatmeal or cereal or sugar in your coffee at 6 or 7 in the morning, you've spiked it again. So you haven't given your body a chance to get to the point to send the signal that's okay to burn fat. That's why intermittent fasting is so important, because it allows that to happen, because you can go 16 hours at minimum which is like the beginner phase, to allow your body for that insulin and hormone response to a high glycemic piece of it, where it's high stress, lack of sleep, or high glycemic foods will spike your insulin. It takes 13 hours to do that. And if you're eating 3 meals a day and you're not low carb and you're having snacks in between, basically your insulin is just staying up here, and no matter what you do, the signal is store fat. So as Jason Fung said, Dr. Jason Fung, author of The Complete Guide to Fasting, our bodies are designed for feast and famine. not feast, feast, feast. So we have a storage mechanism. It's called fat. We have to tap into that and become metabolically flexible so you can get to the ideal weight that you want. And I 100% believe in intermittent fasting. I'm not telling you have to be keto. I love being in ketosis. I'm not telling you have to do that. I'm just saying that take a break, give your digestive system a break, let your body tap into its mechanisms for healing, like autophagy and releasing stem cells and all those things through the fasting process. And it's a really one of the basic ways of really tapping into turning it into a longevitarian. So one more comment. Great question. How can I be 100% at? Yes. How can I be 100% at your age? Right. I'm 48, turned 49 in March. How can I be 100% at age 100 and look at that? Where I'm at. 40, 51 years from now. How can I do that and do those things now? So it's slow and steady wins the race. The tortoise wins, not the hare. And so we're really going to get into this now. All right. If you haven't done a warm up yet, I don't do a lot of warming up. I use my first set to warm up. You can do dynamic, static stretching like when we did in the 7-minute man yoga. Basically, what that does is it could inhibit your performance because there's studies that show that. So you want to do more dynamic stretching, which is basically you just keep moving. So this is like a swimmer's stretch or a hugger's stretch. And I covered in my 7 secrets to strength about how you can start with core and how you can work other things. And there's halo effects in there, meaning that, like if I'm going to do something where I'm holding a weight out here, I'm working my grip and working all of this in addition to working the core that I'm targeting. So it's just think about how you can work muscles that you're in your core and bring in other muscles into it and make it a compound movement instead of isolation. This is not about, it's about functionality, durability. It's not about, trying to, biohack your body to look a certain way. It's about functionality, durability, and the longevity piece of this. The tortoise wins the race. All right, I don't do a lot of stretching, so I'm not going to do that. So the first one is basically it's what are you going to do for the front, and I kind of incorporate everything. For me, it's planks, and you can start with a basic plank. And if you haven't never done a plank before, or you haven't done anything, and you're struggling with this, or just the beginning, get down on your knees and your elbows. Right, you could even start, on your hands and knees. Right, if you got down just on your hands and knees. Right. And you basically could start with something where you're like just touching your shoulders or something like that, where you're just kind of putting a little bit of weight on you, not a lot, where you can progress up to where you're doing one arm and one leg or something like that, or coming up on your feet. It's hard for me to feel how this is, basic because of I've been doing these things so much. But you can do, I don't know if you can see me or not, but basic plank you could do on your knees, like women would do a push-up this way, right? And by the way, a push-up is a moving plank, right? So you can do this is a plank, right? And this is plank, right? And, this is a plank, and touching your shoulder is a plank. And then you can do a cliffhanger plank. These are all body weight, right? This is plank here. And I don't go out further than the mat because I don't want my hands to slip out and get injury. But see how this is keeping my spine from hyperextending. This is core. And the further you get out, you can do this way, and then you can move your elbows out too if you're not strong enough, and that puts pressure on your back. All of those modified versions of a plank are ways that you can get started with really kind of focusing on the front part of your body, and you can extend the time, which is adding volume, or you can add pressure to your core by moving your hands further out from this position above your head, and it changes the center of gravity or the fulcrum, the leverage point on your core. It makes it that way. So that's the first one is plank. So you got to work your sides, right? Now I think about functionality of things. I think about like, we're going to grill out during the summer, and that's what we call it in the South, grill. We're going to put some burgers on the grill, or veggie burgers, or some veggies. Love putting cabbage on the grill. My wife taught me that. A little soy sauce. It's amazing. And we're out of propane, right? So you got this empty propane tank, but what about when it's full, right? So here's my 55-pound kettlebell, right? You can do that. Now, a lot of people will carry two things because that way they're balanced. But when you hold something on one side, it works the other side over here. Okay. I'll show you the body weight one here in a second. But there's multiple things you could do with this, right? You could walk up and down stairs carrying a weight. It could be as simple as, you know, we got 4 kettlebells here. I got a 5th one in the garage, my 71 pounder. Got a 20 pounder right here. You could do something like that. If you haven't done anything, or you want to move to a weight with a grip, you could use a 5 or 10 pound dumbbell, right? And so that could be where you're starting with that. Now, if you want to incorporate this with body weight, it's simple. Really, it's a side plank, right? You can do it, you know, very basic. It works your shoulder too. So this brings in the shoulder in there. You could bend your legs to start, and just basically the very basic one would be on your knee, the same way as you're doing a modified push-up. You like that, works your shoulder in here. You can progress to where you're doing your feet. You can do this, one leg, right? You can do all those type of things. You can then, you know, balance, got here. You can reach under. There's all kind of things you can do with that, okay? And you do the other side for sure. You can even do things called figure eights, where you're bringing the legs into play, where you're having the weight out here, picking up, doing something like this. If you wanted to alternate, I like the heaviest weight I can get and hold. This way, if you're doing kettlebells, you're in the gym and you don't have any problems with your thoracic spine or anything like that, you could rack it or clean it like this. And this is like mimicking carrying something on your shoulder, something heavy. You have to bring things up like chicken feed for the chickens or 40-pound bags of salt for the driveway. So I'll literally carry this just like this. Works the bicep, works the shoulder, bicep, wrist, forearm. I'll carry that up and down the stairs a couple times. Do that. Oh, and I missed my most advanced planking thing. Bought this bad boy at Walmart for like $7. My mom had one of these ab wheels back in the day, when I was a kid. This will work you. I haven't got up to where I can do a full plank yet, you know, but when you're rolling out like this, and it keeps your spine from hyperextending. Then you do a crunch on the way up. You're pulling like a pull-up. You are working your hip flexors. Love that. The first time I did that, when I came back from being furloughed, my son and I did 20 of those. The next day I could do 0. I was so sore. Now it's just like, I just did them every hour on the hour for about 8 weeks. And now I love them. Absolutely love it. It's my favorite. $7. You can also do things like this, right? Use bands, right? So like if I was going to use a band for the side, you know, it's like I could, I don't know, pick a foot, grab it low enough, you know, and this is again at Walmart. I think I got 3 different size bands. You could do that right where I'm just, you know, doing something like this and I'm pulling, just working this side, you know, like that. So there's different ways of doing this, right? And then and you got to find what works for you, what you like doing, what you have, what equipment. You could just do all the simple body weight ones and be enough, to be honest with you, and progress up. And then so that's both sides in the back. If you're going to do it, this basically is the same. You can get the same position as that founder stretch we did for the man yoga, the 7-minute man yoga, where you're like weights on your heels, take a deep breath, kind of extend up, cross your arms. Don't lock your knees, bend your knees a little bit, doing this straight leg good morning type thing. So just do some reps like this. It's very basic. For some flexibility, this is working posterior chain, those things you really want to work your back. You could kind of flex your back into flexion there. So you're like, it's kind of bowed this way. So you're working the back muscles. You could do another body weight one. Simple. Is just do like Superman. knees off the ground, you know, chest off the ground, and just hold that for as long as you can. Take breaks, right? Like, and so just do something like that. Very basic stuff. You could get into, you know, I love kettlebell swings. That's another one that works your core, your core here. So if anybody's never had instruction on kettlebell swings, we'll do that. Okay. Basically, you're going to get into position. It's almost like a deadlift position, like this. You want the kettlebell out in front of you, like you're going to be a center on the offensive line of your favorite football team. Okay. And you're basically going to hike this thing behind you and then just stand up. That's all you do. And because the weight's back here and you stand up and you flex everything back here, even here, you can work your core doing a dynamic movement. Because you're holding onto the kettlebell, you're working your grip, you're working your lats to keep everything from just flying out to the front, all of those things. So you can do two-handed. I got to take this off. I'm getting a little warm here. It's one of my favorite shirts here. Look at this. It's leg day. Leg day. It's not, it's core day. Okay. All right. So kettlebell swing. All right. Then you can advance to where you're doing something like one-handed, and you switch in midair. So you're doing things like that. Now the thing with this is you're breathing. Breathe out on the down, and then exhale when you come up. And again, you can even do things where you're like this. So you're here, and you're forcing yourself to tighten up, stuff like that. Love those. You could also take the band. Okay, you can put this over your head like this. And then you can, well, how do you do this? I haven't done this in a while. I like this. Over your head like this. Make sure you don't pull on your neck. And you can stand with it like this. Okay, and then do your good mornings like this. This way you're working with your strength curve. And the taller you get, the harder it pulls. There's ways you can do that as well. Okay. That's a good warm up for sure. Any questions, anybody? Don't see anything new. Let me know if you got any questions about anything. Okay, rotational. The simplest rotational one would be a Russian twist. So Russian twist is basically, you can keep your feet, this beginning, keep your feet on the ground. You can stay more upright. If I can turn so you can see, right? More upright. And then basically touch, just basically touch. As you get stronger, you can lean back, bring your feet off the ground. You can add, there's a 30-pound weight. You can add a little weight to the action, right? Like this. You can, it works on balance. This works on a lot of stuff. You can do things like figure eights in here too, the seated figure eight, right? Where you're basically passing this weight. It's rotational. It's kind of rotational. It works the side. Different things like this. Okay. That figure eight, standing figure eight, does a rotational move as well. One of my favorites is this. And this is good for golfers. Jason, you may like this one. This is a way to work the six-pack on the front without an adding a little rotation to it, right? So hook a band to something. You can use a weight with this as well if you have a machine, if you're working in the gym. And basically, you can do it standing, or I'm kneeling here to have where I'm in line with the actual thing. And you basically, it's too hard. Find the right spot and rotate and hold. So again, not only does your core, it keeps your spine stable in every direction and protects your nervous system and the spinal cord and all of that stuff. So basically, you work on this, hold this, you're working on that side isometrically. You could pulse it if you wanted. You could just like that. All of those things. Love that. So that's it for rotational. The next one's the heavy one. This is a progression to the Dragon Flag by Bruce Lee. And I'm going to use the bottom of this rail here, put my hands on it. But the progression is just starting with like swimmer kicks or leg raises, and basically side leg raises, right? You can start like this, right? Laying your head down, just doing that, or leg raises. This is level 1 stuff right here. Okay, you're working on this. Or maybe you need to lighten the load, bring your feet in, touch your bottom of your feet together, and you can just work like this. It's just because the further you go out, the harder it gets. Okay, so very basic. Just bring everything in tight and do this. The next level would be, and if your back's hurting, hyperextending, you put your hands under the top part of your glutes, force your back to kind of stay on your lumbar spine to stay flat, and you can lift like that. The next level would be to lift your hips up off the floor. If you notice, I'm doing a lot of crunches. I didn't do any crunches, right? Everything's about functionality, durability, and spinal stability is really what this is about. All right, so lift up this way. And this is a progression to get to the mother of them all, the Dragon Flag. I'm going to do some eccentric ones to show you. Basically, you're keeping your body as straight as you can. Okay, you're holding on to something heavy that won't break or won't flip over onto your head or your body or any of that stuff. There's a desk right over there. You can't see that I do it most of the time, but I move these weights out of the way so I could do this for today. Yeah, for today. Here we go. All right. So you don't hit anything. So basically, you're going to tighten everything in your core, your hip flexors, your legs. You're going to try to lift your whole body up, or you could start with this where you lift your body up onto your shoulders, like in this shoulder stand position, and then come down. And if you can, lift up or come down all the way. And then you could lift up from here. So that's it. Almost all the levels there. All right. We're 34 minutes in and demonstration is complete, right? And so it's time to hit it. And so whatever level you're at, we're going to work, the first one. I'm going to grab my roller here and I'm going to punch out, I don't know, see how many I can do. And depending on time, because I don't like going over an hour, we'll see where we're at. We'll probably be able to squeeze in 2 sets here of this particular hardcore workout. And so if anybody's got any questions right now, it'd be a good time to hit me because I might be out of breath here in a second, focusing on the workout. So thank you. Thank you, Sharon. This is so important, especially as we get older. There's actually, I'll talk about this before I get into the actual workout. There's actually a self-test. It was done in Brazil. And basically the self-test you can do that shows your longevity. And basically it is from standing to sitting to standing back up. Every time you use a knee, my cat's going crazy. I did feed her this morning. If you can hear her, I apologize. She is 20 years old and she's going deaf. And she's probably a little lonely, but I can hear her through my earbuds and my own talking. But basically self-test, the study done in Brazil, standing to sitting to standing back up. Every time you use an elbow, a hand, a knee to get up or to get down, you subtract points. And if you use on a scale of 1 to 10, if the lower your score is by using a hand, elbow, or knee, the less time you're going to be on the planet, right? And so this is a way that you can look at flexibility, strength, and those type of things that shows So there's a direct correlation to flexibility and strength and then how long your life is. Also to your health span. So health span and lifespan are connected to this directly. And exercise is a supplement for the lack of movement. The 5 blue zones, they move all the time. Their lifestyles basically push them to get up and move every 20 to 30 minutes, where we may sit there for 4, 5, 6 hours at a time, doing whatever we do on a computer, and we don't move that much. So this is important. So this self-test, I'll show you the self-test. Basically is to get sit down all the way and then stand back up. I haven't done this in a while, but I'm sure I can do it. All right, so the best way to do it, you can do it different ways, right? I can just go down on one foot. Oop, see, I fell, right? Didn't do it, but the best way is to crisscross and then sit down, right? So that's down. I did it with 0 after I failed that one time, but right, because I was trying to show you a different way, but then you can, get up, right? So you can just scissor this way and get up. See, I have to be flexible enough to get my weight over my feet, right? And then stand up. So if you have to get down, you have to do something like this. That's 2 points. To get up, that's 3. That's 4, right? But you could just simply get down and then get up. So do that at home, see where you're at. Work on your ankle flexion, your hip flexibility, those type of things. All right. It's time to work our core. I can check this off my morning routine checklist for today because the demonstration doesn't count. It doesn't count. I'm losing weight. These shorts are falling off of me. I'm sorry. That happens, though. That happens. All right. I'm going to get started. I'm going to use ab wheel. You can watch, sit on the couch, have some ice cream, or you can join in on what you want to do. Remember, bodyweight version will be a simple plank. You can add whatever you want to it by touching your shoulders, doing a cliffhanger plank, or I got one of these Mamba Jammas. I'm going to try this on the carpet, which makes it harder to pull it up, adds a little tension to the game. All right, here we go. Number 10, I like holding them at the bottom because one of my secrets of strength is getting stronger at your weakest point. Where you think I'm weakest, here or here? Where are you the weakest? Fluffy, what's up? One more is what I got. Now, exercise should not be painful at all. Should not be painful, and you should be able to do it again the next day. So do it to like 80%. Don't go to failure, especially in the very, very beginning. This is not about bodybuilding, which is a form of biohacking. This is about functionality, durability, and avoiding injury, because mechanical injuries will put you down on the sideline and you can't do anything. Functionality, durability. All right, side. Now, I'm at the kettlebell suitcase farmer's walk level. So I'm just going to grab this and isometrically hold. I got a 60, but I'm sticking to what I talked about. I'm sticking to my 55 so I can jump to my 71 pounder when I get where I can do these things. So I need to get that out of the garage because that was my summertime. The driveway was my summertime spot to throw down with the weighted jump rope and kettlebell swings and walking up down the driveway carrying that heavy bell. But you could do things like this. I'm one-footed, like I can mimic walk in place, right? 1 foot, alternating feet, like that. You can add in a little calf work if you want while you're doing it. One-legged calf. That's hard. Out. Did you hear that pop? I did. Be careful with that. Do all kind of stuff. Make it fun. Make it challenging. Don't hurt yourself. There we go. This is a very strong position. I'm feeling this on the back, my back. And what happens is because you're feeling it in your back and your side over here, when you switch sides, right, you're still going to feel that in your lower back, but in a slightly different place. It'll move just a little bit. So again, alternating. Right. Little calf work. I didn't count. I don't have a timer going on. I'm just going until I get fatigued, and then I'll switch. So again, the basic way of doing this is a side plank. It adds into the shoulder. My shoulder's not really flexed that much, but I'm getting a little grip. You can only lift what you can hold in your hand. Grip's important. One of the most important things. All right. So the back. I missed one. I forgot that. One of my favorite things I started doing for the back. They talk, so you're doing good mornings, right? You could do a Romanian deadlift where you got two of the same thing in one hand. Like imagine this is a barbell, right? So you could do, or two dumbbells. It's like Romanian deadlift where your legs are relatively straight. Okay, you're doing something like this. Imagine this is what it looks like with the weight. Let's grab these two 15s because they're close. Did you see Fluffy come by? All right, so something like this. Okay. And then I talked about this on the show the other day with Nate Wilkins a couple weeks ago. When I was working in the restaurant, it was struggling with picking stuff up off the floor and like trash, or we had at Bruce Chris, we had these green mint wrappers everywhere. People threw them everywhere. It's crazy. A lot of people would disrespect somebody's property like that. I got that dumbbell on the floor, reach down, I pick it up, come here, look at the flexibility, the strength from range of motion to range of motion. And that progresses into how can I do it with this 55-pounder one-handed, right? You can do this with a machine, with a bar, and pull up. And sometimes as you go heavier, your range of motion gets smaller. And I think for this particular purpose, that's okay. I'm not trying to be a gymnast. I'm trying to be durable when I'm out in the yard doing yard work or moving stuff around, cutting wood, stuff like that. Right? So I'm in this almost the same position as it is exactly the same position as a kettlebell swing, but I'm just picking up. Right? I love this. You get heavy with this, a couple 100 pounds, your freaking back is bulletproof at that point. If you worked up to it the right way, your hamstrings, all that mechanism, picking that up, just your whole posterior chain. Read an article years ago, power hitters, that even steroid-driven power hitters in baseball, people who had the most power have an overdeveloped posterior chain, all the muscles on the backside of their bodies. And so you want to build power, this is where you do it. Now, quickness is a different thing. You could get into where you're doing something dynamic, right? Like a snatch. A lot of people are doing, because they don't want to hurt their wrists, with a kettlebell. I'll demo this for you. Do a kettlebell snatch, right? Or a dumbbell snatch where you're snatching it up like that. Bring it back down. I used to do the Secret Service snatch test. See how many I could do in 10 minutes. But the trick is not letting this thing flip around and hitting you on the wrist. So you could I'm gonna grab a 30 dumbbell here. Work on a little of this stuff from a little bit more explosive power. This works a lot of stuff. This is core, right? You're exploding up. So if you want to become more explosive, that's a good one. Good place to start. All right. Rotational. I am going to do some Russian twists with this bad boy, this 30-pounder. 46 minutes. We're going to get 2 sets in. Boys and girls. I'm going to stop talking. All right. There may be some people watching saying, this is unconventional. And it is. I'm telling you. This is not exactly how most people do it. John, you're welcome. You said, gave you some new things to add to your morning routine. You're welcome, man. And then Vincent, it is a killer. It is for sure. Sharon, it's my pleasure. That's what I'm here for. You know, this is part of epigenetics, right? This is allowing people to get their body to express themselves differently. Inside of each one of us, there is a longevitarian body, a longevitarian, that their health span is extended and they're living their best lives and extending their prime years out for decades. There's also a 100-pound overweight type 2 diabetic that's got cancer on the way. It's got all kind of chronic diseases, inflammation, all that stuff, and everything in between. There's a power lifter inside of you. There's an endurance runner inside of you. But it all starts with your mindset and knowing that everything that you do, the air you breathe, how you breathe it in, the water you drink, how much you get, how much sleep you get, when you get to sleep, the food you eat, how clean it is, whether it has glyphosate in it, organic, locally grown, the nutrition density, you know, things like this from Dr. Linda Ellison, right? Whether you're metabolically flexible, whether you get enough fiber to feed your microbiota balance, the ecosystem balance between the fungus and the parasites and the good bacteria and all the bad things, getting that ecosystem where it thrives. All of these things, your exercise, your movement, whether you step out of your comfort zone and get a little cold like Wim Hof method, take a hot bath, a hot shower, go to a sauna, those type of things like Dr. Randa Patrick talks about, and then your connection with your family, your friends, and your community. All of those things, all of those pillars influence your environment. And they are therefore influences your genetic expression. And I want everybody to know that you have a say in your longevity. You have a say in your health span. And this is just a part of it, just a piece of the 8 pillars right here. And so heavy, go to heavy and get off my soapbox. Still a little bit out of breath. And just say hey to Fluffy, right? I could have closed the thing back there so she wouldn't have got in, but Fluffy's, she's been with us. My wife was pregnant with our son who turns 19 next month. When the neighbors left her astray back in South Carolina, we took her to the Caribbean and we brought her to the mountains. So, all right, here we go. Whatever you're going to do for your heavy set, your progression to getting to dragon flag, if it's just simple leg raises, or if you want to go heavy like me, let's do it. If your back can handle it, your core strong enough, muscle fibers dense enough, got tensile strength, then do it. By the way, John, we got 2 dogs, a cat. We just lost a chicken to a weasel. So I think we're down to 4 chickens now, 2 lovebirds. And we have all kind of things in the backyard. Saw moose go by as I was getting ready for the show this morning. And we have deer that come in the yard too. So rabbits, all kind of stuff. All right, we're gonna make this last one quick. I got 9 minutes to get this set in. Without breaks, without talking, without other stuff, we can get to work. And here we go. I'm gonna let's see here. I'm gonna grab this so I won't get rug burn on my knees. Sorry for all that noise. Here we go. Knees elevated helps go a little bit deeper too. All right, 10 of those with a hold. Got that. Now it's going to the side. Side and then back. Always push yourself a little bit. Try not to throw your arm out. Here to balance, using the principle of opposition. You want to just stand up straight, almost like you have nothing in your hand. Try not to drop these weights on your toes either. All right, so what did I do? I held it for a little bit, then I cleaned it, held that, out of breath, then put it back down without dropping it. Let's try this. My left's not strong, so make sure I don't drop this through the floor into my son's bedroom, through a ceiling. This is 55 pounds. You guys remember acceleration due to gravity from physics or from Men in Black? 9.8 meters per second. No need to start doing some heavy duty math here while I'm trying to do this stuff. All right, that's the side. Now do the back. All right. I don't want to be out of breath here while I'm on here doing kettlebell swing, so I'm gonna do just same weight, one-handed Romanian deadlifts. Okay. I mean, as soon as you can get to doing things with one hand and one leg, you're going to build this cross core strength that's really going to just change your life, really, and your physical life anyway. Also, mentally, let you know how strong you are. Like if you can do this in the gym when you're fatigued, you know you can do it out in the real world. You know, like there are things like, most people don't know this, but managers are pretty much the only one that change out soda boxes bag in the box, bibs we call them. Those are 40, 50 pound boxes, basically no handle on them. That's what, a foot by 10-inch rectangle. This cube that weighs 40 pounds, you got to grab that thing. A lot of times they're buried back there. You got to get those out without hurting yourself. Get those put in, turn sideways, holding it up, putting it in. And Jason knows as well as I do. You're wearing a tie, button down suit, maybe not the best shoes all the time because you're on your feet all the time. You're moving that stuff. So this is important. Out in the real world, when you get out in the wild, I need 8 of these. You can do this with a body weight too. You don't have a weight. You can do this one-legged. Reach down, and it works on balance too, Sharon. Right? You want to work on balance? Do this. You can add more leg by bending a little bit. Make it just like a single leg, little skater. You know, if you wanted to get down low, you could do that. All kind of options. But you do not have to have a weight to have a strong, functional, durable, well-balanced core. The next is rotational. All right. I'm doing Russian twists, 30 pounds. Can't wait till I get to 55 pounds on this. Move. Talking about strength. Probably cut down on my speed some. If I ever pick up a golf club ever again, I'm doing super heavy Russian twists, but I'm not worried about it. I really feel this in my back too. It's all about stability. Here we go. Here we go. Up. No hands. No elbows. No knees. All right. Time to go heavy. I got 50 seconds before I hit 1 hour, and I'll be done. Here we go. Choking. One more. And there we have it. Right at it. This is important. I'm out of breath. Tune in tomorrow, Thursday. Longevitarian, author of these 2 books, and 64 life hacks for success. When bosses go wild, preventing employee morale knockouts. Tune in Friday. Harvard grad, Dr. Linda Ellison, fellow Ute, and worked for the United Nations in West Africa. And out of inspiration from that, living and working there in Africa, came up with this supplement. It's a game changer. So think of everybody on Spirituality Gone Wild. This is a show that's about giving people agency over their genetic expression. And that life is not the hand you've been dealt genetically by mom and dad. It's about changing that environment. And if you're trying to get in front of cancer like me, that's in my family for multiple generations, you're trying to get in front of dementia, heart disease, any of those things, look at all these conditions around. Don't just lay back and say, grandma had it, grandpa had it, dad had it, therefore I'm getting it, while you're eating that double bacon cheeseburger that's filled with all the poisons and the ketchup they're dipping those fries into. They're cooked in trans fats. And that ketchup's got high fructose corn syrup in it. None of it's organic, filled with glyphosate, antibiotics, growth hormones, and then wonder why you don't feel good in the morning. So, and you're not moving, not exercising because you don't feel good anyway. So all of this is important. You put these pieces together. So I encourage you to tune in tomorrow. It's gonna be a great show. The next 7 shows I'm super excited about. And we'll be checking in with you again soon. And we'll make these a little bit shorter because you've already been trained. My name's Scott Stanfield. This is the Modern Longevitarian. And you know what? If today's your Friday, I wish you a great weekend. It's time to roll the credits.